Good afternoon, everyone. We're so glad that you were able to join us for our mobile innovation webinar. We're going to get started here in just a second. In the meantime, we always like to kick things off by giving people a chance to say hello, let us know where you're kind of joining from or where you're based. I know several people might be on spring break, so maybe you're joining us from spring break, but where you're based from and what organization. If you want to drop that in the chat, that would be awesome, and we'll get started here in just about 1 minute. So. A couple of housekeeping items before we jump into the content. You will all be muted throughout the webinar. You'll see Cody Bender, our Chief Product Officer, and myself on the webinar, and then we have a couple of our colleagues, Lavon Simpson and David Santiago, who is from our product team. They'll be answering all of your questions. You can drop those questions in chat as well if that's easier for you. But we do prefer if you can use that questions tab at the bottom. We can keep track of those a little bit easier and make sure that everybody gets a follow-up either from your customer success manager or from your salesperson, or somebody from the product team will reach out to you. But again, feel free to drop those into chat if that's easier, but you can also use that questions tab as well. And I think we're ready to go ahead and jump in. So Cody, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll get us started. So today, pretty straightforward webinar. We're going to really kick things off with a boardable overview, and then we're going to jump right into the mobile app. So Cody's going to walk us through the board member demo, and then we're going to walk through an admin demo, and then we'll do a quick recap of everything that's new in the app, and then we'll wrap up. So some of our webinars go right to 1 hour. We expect this one to be a little bit faster, but we do encourage those questions, and please drop those in. My name is Jenny Burton. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at Boardable. And then we also have Cody Bender, our Chief Product Officer, my boss, who's going to be doing some of the demo portion of this. So if we want to go to the next slide, really the reason we decided to do this webinar was a little bit of, it was easy in all of our recent releases. We got so excited about our new web features that it was a little bit easy to say, oh, and we did some new mobile stuff, right? And mobile stuff isn't always really that efficient or effective to be able to, enable all of you as users, as admins, as board members to really utilize the great features that are in the app itself. So without doing too much of a history lesson here, back in 2023, we really got to a point with our apps where we had parity between our iOS and our Android device. So we had done a lot of surveying, we had looked at our analytics, and we realized that our Android users were really kind of getting the short end of the stick. And so we wanted to make sure that that got up to speed. And really since that time and since that release, we've been investing in our mobile app. So we've had document improvements, improved iPad experiences, lots of new functionality around tasks and discussions and user settings. And then now we're at this release here in spring 2024, where we're going to talk about a lot of really exciting features. So Face ID, push notifications, mobile minutes, multi-day meeting agendas. And then really in the future, we're going to start to see improved meeting experiences in the app, and then our new boardable video conferencing system, which is going to come to the web and the app at the same time later this year. So really excited about all of these things, but really just a reflection of our investment in innovation, both on the web and mobile, and just a chance for us to take a pause and make sure that everybody understands the opportunities that there are to utilize the mobile app to drive greater board member engagement. So if you want to jump to the next slide, Cody, I think I would be completely remiss if I didn't pause and say, if you haven't downloaded the app, I really encourage you to take a moment now. You can simply go to the App Store or go over to Google Play and search Boardable, and you should be able to download that app real time and start to experience that. You'll log in with the same credentials you do for your web experience for Boardable. So should be the same user login. You'll have the opportunity to have a magic link if you're struggling with your password and those types of things. So while everybody gets the app downloaded, haven't downloaded yet today, we're going to move into our first poll. And I know we have Some folks that aren't yet customers yet, so you probably aren't using the Boardable app, although you could be using it in your trial experience as well. But we just have this simple question here. Are you currently utilizing the Boardable mobile app? Or you could obviously, if you're not a Boardable customer, do that as well.
It's a good mix so far, everyone. I mean, it's not quite 50-50, but it's good to see that there's going to be a bunch of people who get to see it maybe for the first time today and maybe decide that this is something that they want to try out. So, and if you're wondering, you can click on the polls icon and it'll actually bring it up and you can see the live count.
Awesome. Well, Cody's right. We ended up pretty close to 50-50. Several or a little bit higher are not currently using the mobile app. So lots of room for new folks to leverage the Boardable app, and really a little bit of moment of I'm really glad we're doing this webinar today to make sure that everybody knows that it exists and some of the key use cases that you can have with the app. So I did want to take 1 second to just kind of introduce Boardable to folks that maybe are new customers or maybe are prospects. Ultimately, we help nonprofit organizations overcome friction and operate at the next level. So we have about 300,000 board members that we serve. We have board members in about 140 countries. I'm not sure how many countries we saw show up in the chat, but that's always a really fun thing for us to see, and just kind of the reach of kind of the Boardable community. If we want to jump to the next slide, there are some key things that we do at Boardable and kind of let's get into more specifics. So how do we help you operate at next level? First, we help boards stay organized and efficient, seamlessly collaborate. We help admins and staff members and executive directors understand their board better. And then lastly, we elevate professionalism. So everything's in one spot. Board members know where to go. It's kind of this seamless experience that doesn't feel so disjointed where some other tools, or if you're trying to use a lot of email and all of these different things, can feel really disjointed. You have one cohesive experience. The app really hits on almost all of these, in the ability to do these things on the go. We know board members, nonprofit board members oftentimes have other full-time jobs, families, other commitments. And so just the idea that both board members and yourselves as admins are able to do all of these things and kind of push all of these things forward from your mobile device is a great value add. So we're going to go ahead and jump forward and talk about specifically the board member impact. So when we think about the mobile app and you start to talk to your board members about that, why would somebody want to join it? And really, at the highest level, we've talked about this idea of staying engaged with the board, right? But how does that come to life? So one of the things that the app allows users to do is easily and instantly join meetings with just one tap. So you can quickly log into your app, and you'll see today that you can log in now with Face ID. So you don't even need to have your password, just your face. And you can join that meeting with one tap. You're also going to have access to both upcoming and past meeting agendas and minutes. So you can kind of see what's coming up from a meeting's perspective, look at old past meetings and look at those agendas and minutes, kind of have that all in one spot. Engaging in discussions, this is huge. So this is a secure place that you're able to engage back and forth amongst the board, amongst the staff, in context to your other board materials. And then lastly, the ability to access those documents. So a lot of our customers use our document center extensively, and just having access to all of those documents on the go be super helpful when you have a quick question, or maybe you're sitting in a meeting and you don't have your computer with you, or those types of things. You're going to be able to access those right there. So Cody's going to actually jump into a demo where we're going to really see all of these things come to life for a board member with the Boardable app.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, let's see this actually in practice. For all of those who have not seen the app, I'm going to pause here for a second. This is our home screen. This is what you're going to see when you log in initially. So this is, we also recorded these because we obviously did them on mobile devices. And if you've ever done a demo on a mobile device, there's never a time for, say, your mom or wife to text you that's better than when you're trying to record a demo. So we went with safety here, and Jenny actually recorded these on her device. So this is our home screen. And our home screen is starts at the top, and it shows you meetings. It shows you your groups. It shows you your tasks, your goals. And in this case, we really want to start with by jumping into the existing meeting. So we've got a meeting here that we're going to jump into. It's the quarterly board meeting. And I'm just going to give you a really quick overview of this screen, because one of the things that's interesting about a mobile app is there's no mouse to follow, right? You're clicking this with your finger. So although we're all looking at this on our laptops or our desktops, this is on an actual phone. So everything here is optimized for larger clicks, right? So it's intended to be clicked on with a finger. And in this case, I'll try and get my cursor off of there. But in this case, let's say you wanted to actually RSVP, change your RSVP. At the bottom, all you have to do is change yes from maybe to yes. And by changing from maybe to yes, it automatically updates within Boardable. Your admin or your facilitator is going to see that. It was easy to do. All you had to do was do that in one click. Once you've said yes, it's very likely that you probably want to go and make sure you know what you're going to talk about. So you're going to show up to this meeting. I better go check the agenda. So I'll actually back it up a touch. Right in the middle where it says Agenda 6, clicking that with your finger will actually open up the agenda section. And you can see this is a fairly simple agenda, but if it was long, if it had documents in it, all of that would appear here. And someone who is on the go, maybe they're between meetings, maybe the board meeting's coming up and they haven't had a chance to really look at it, can look and familiarize themselves with the agenda. Clicking back takes you back to the main page. One thing that I'll point out is underneath the Join Meeting button here, there's 3 tabs. And we think of these as sort of 3 being particularly important. What are the details of this meeting, right? What's the agenda? Where's it at? Documents is another important section. So what are the things that we're going to be reviewing? An interesting feature that we rolled out maybe 2 releases ago, but maybe all of you on the call haven't had a chance to use or see directly, agenda documents. So anything that was attached to that agenda, we collect together and throw into a file called agenda documents. You can open up that folder and go directly in and see those documents. So we always had a lot of disconnect between, I see this document in my agenda, but I don't know where to go find it. Well, we actually just built a virtual folder right here. In this case, we're going to go ahead and click on one of the specific documents below. So we're clicking on the non-disclosure agreement. And as you can see on your phone, you can actually go in and scroll through this PDF. You could review this entire document and be prepared for the meeting that's coming up. Last but not least, clicking on the attendees tab. So we've clicked on details, we've clicked on documents, we've clicked on attendees. Say okay, great. I know I've RSVP'd. I've checked out the agenda. I've looked through the documents. Now I want to know who else is coming to this meeting and who said they're coming. So in this case, Jenny has RSVP'd. She said she's going to be there. But David hasn't. So maybe I want to reach out to David directly and say, hey, there's something on the agenda that I think we really need you for. And we really need you to be there and be present. And in this case, I know that he hasn't RSVP'd yet. So now we're going to head back and we're going to jump directly into, from home, we're going to jump into, actually at the top right, there's a view all meetings. And you can see that this is the meeting that's coming up. So we could go straight back to where we just were, but we can also click past. And clicking past here is going to bring up a list of the last 3 meetings or however many meetings you've had in the past. We're really interested in this case. Let's say I wanted to go back and try and remember what were we talking about in that governance committee retreat. I can click on that. It will bring me directly to that meeting. Very similar, right? The pattern is very similar to the pattern you just saw for an existing current meeting. And then a new feature that we've rolled out that is going to be coming out very shortly is the ability to click on Minutes PDF. And so I'll go back really quickly. Right in the middle here, it says Minutes PDF. This is your opportunity to go back and review the minutes. So let's say you missed that meeting. You weren't a part of it, but you want to know what happened so you can be equally prepared as a board member for the next meeting or more prepared. You can actually now open that PDF and review it directly from your mobile device. This is something that we previously didn't allow. We now allow that. One thing I should point out as well, and I apologize, we've got the bar here at the bottom. I'll try and get off of there in a second. Underneath that bar is our standard navigation. This navigation is consistent. It's home. It's meetings, it's docs, it's people. All you have to do, so in this case, going back a section, when we're in minutes, as soon as we go back to this screen, you can see we can click directly into docs. And clicking into docs allows us to go to the document center. These are no longer associated with a meeting. These are actually, this is where all of your stored documents are going to be. And it's going to be everything that I, as a member, have access to. So I won't see documents I shouldn't have access to. I won't see folders I shouldn't have access to. But I can come in here straight from that sort of lower nav, pick a document and go take a look at it, just like I would for the minutes or any other document that we've stored. Going back, I can actually scroll back and look at other sections. If I go to home, one thing I can do is I can scroll down. And as I scroll down, I'll go past tasks and goals. I can actually, as a member, go down and look for discussion. So maybe I want to go into this discussion that Jenny started, and I want to make a comment on it. So it's all about making effective decisions. I'm going to jump in here. In this case, actually, it was Jenny. Jenny's going in and adding a note on this discussion directly from the mobile app. She can then click send. She could notify everyone. As soon as she does, it updates, it timestamps, and she can jump back to the main home screen. Last but not least, from a member's perspective. So members, we've looked at how do I get to the meeting that's coming up next? How do I look at past meetings? How can I go look for documents and review those documents? Now I'm going to jump at how can I contribute to a discussion? So we've done those particular items, which as a board member on the go makes a lot of sense. One of the things that we find board members very often want to use the app for are people. And they want to go find someone to contact. So by simply clicking people at the bottom of the screen, you can bring up the people directory and you can click in and see any of their publicly available or published information. So if it's a phone number, if it's an email address, you can use this section to actually reach directly out to them. And we find that that's a very common use case for board members. So I know that was fairly quick. We didn't cover absolutely everything, but as a board member, those are some tasks that or opportunities that I can leverage on my mobile app that either previously I wasn't able to, or now I have that opportunity as a mobile user. So I download the app. Now I can go to and do all of those things without having to be tied to a desktop or a laptop computer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cody. I feel like that was a really good overview. And Cody's going to get into this a little bit more later, but with the new push notifications that are coming to the app, it's just going to allow that real-time discussion, just to happen even easier, faster, better. So when there's hot topics or important things, everybody's going to get that push notification and be able to be in there discussing in real time, which I think is going to be huge for board members. So we are going to jump into another poll here, and this is really just a high-level question of when do you think you'd be more likely to use the app? Do you think it's something that you'll use to prepare for meetings before the meeting, use it throughout the meeting itself, so during the meeting, after the meeting, or what we like to call independent of the meeting? So you don't have a meeting imminent and you didn't just come out of a new meeting, but just kind of in between those meeting cycles that you might use it. So would love to kind of see where you think you'll get the most utilization out of the app or where you do today. Awesome. It's really exciting to see a lot of people coming in with independent of the meeting, which I think is great because, when you think about a nonprofit board, and I serve on a few nonprofit boards, like meetings are very central, but there's committee work and there's other things that happen outside of that meeting cadence. So it's really kind of fun and interesting to see so many of these independent of the meeting responses. I think that's really great and also just kind of shows the appetite for you as admins, but potentially some board members as well, to stay engaged outside of those monthly or quarterly meetings and really start to do the work in between those sessions as well. So
yeah, especially when it comes to communication, I think that ability to have discussions, right, and independent of whether you're going to meet or having to wait for a meeting, but the ability to find people easily or call, right, just be able to go to the people directory and say, hey, I just want to talk to this person. I have no idea how I'd get in touch with them otherwise. The app makes all of that really, really easy, and I think it doesn't have to necessarily be tied to meetings. So I'm with you, Jenny. I really like the fact that I wasn't sure how independent of the meeting would show up, but it's nice to see that there is a lot of opportunity there.
Awesome, Cody. We're going to go ahead and jump right into what an admin experience might be in the app. So really similar to what Cody just walked through for the board members. Many of you are admins or might be potential admins at Boardable. But let's walk through some of the kind of unique use cases and unique things that an admin can do as well, Cody.
Sure. Yeah, and I should probably say we separated these two things because we do think that the use cases are somewhat different. We want to make sure that there are things that you can do which are very consumption focused, where you're reading and reviewing and tracking, and then there are things that you can do that are more about building and setting the stage. So this is definitely that second category. One thing I'll point out right away is that we have given you several paths to do the same thing, and you can pick the path that works best for you. So one thing you'll see right away in this particular demo is that I'm going to swipe out from the left. So it's hard to see because, again, this is a thumb. But in our mobile app, there actually is a very similar navigation, which is swipe from the left and the nav will open from that side. So all of the things in the home screen that say view all, they actually all are duplicates of what you can find in here. So when you swipe out, you actually get the ability to view all of these different categories. And we're going to start with discussion. So as an admin, I might want to go in and start a discussion. And so Jenny actually, in this case, started a discussion, and the discussion was all about insurance, right? So she's not an insurance expert. She needs some help. She wants to start a discussion and get some feedback around, hey, what should we do in this scenario? In this case, she went ahead and put a title to it. She put a description to it. As you can see, we have attachments here. One of the things we've added to the mobile is the ability to add attachments. So these are going to be getting pushed out as they are reviewed by Apple and Google. But we want to be able to attach documents here as well. So if there was a document that Jenny needed to attach to help inform the discussion, she could do that. She's filled out the title and the description. Next most important thing is, well, who are you discussing this with? And in this case, Jenny chooses the board. It's a one-click thing, and that entire board is added. So everyone that's on that group, the board, now they are able to actually get this and see it. And she clicks create discussion, and it's right there. So now she has all of those people mobilized and informed about what the problem is and is asking for help. It was really easy. The pattern to be able to pick this list and then pick the plus sign that's at the bottom right, that is repeated over and over and over. We don't want you to have to remember that for every single thing you want to create. So for us, that'll be a really common thing you'll see. When I said before, you can slide out and you can choose from the list on the left, or you can choose view all on the right. In this case, we're going to choose view all from tasks. So I clicked on view all tasks. I'm actually going to swipe back because I did that very quickly. When I click this, that plus sign at the bottom right, again, underneath the bar, that's also the same place you're going to press if you want to create a task. So as an admin, I want to create a task. In this case, the task is, hey, I need a whole group of people to get me back a document, right? And in this case, it's a waiver. So we're going to go on a ropes course for an offsite. I need waivers for everyone. So in case anyone gets hurt, they're not held liable, but I need it by a specific day and I need everybody to get it done. Really common use case. We see this fairly frequently. And so you add the task at the top, you add the due date, very straightforward. You're going to assign the group. Again, the whole board is going to the offsite. So that makes this really easy. You hop back out, you actually exit the keyboard, you create this task, and it's going to assign it to everyone. So now the board has a task, and that board is please send in the waiver. It's required by the venue. There'll be reminders that happen according to the date that was actually scheduled. So you can see that pattern was very similar and very similar to discussions, and we keep repeating it throughout, but very easy to do as well. The last thing we're going to do is around polls. And so I'm going to swipe back out from the left again, and I'm going to choose polls. Creating a poll is very similar to creating a discussion or a task. One thing I will say about all three of these is when you're on mobile, you really want to pick discussions and tasks and polls that aren't particularly complicated, right? It's like anything else. If I want to sit down and write a 2-page email to my daughter's teacher, I might not want to do that with both my thumbs. I might want to do that with my keyboard. In this case, pretty easy poll. Do you like breakfast or do you like lunch? Not the most complicated poll, not the most complicated to get pushed in here. Pretty straightforward. Same with the tasks that we generated, same with the discussion. Although you saw with the discussion, we've actually pasted the text in because typing it in with our thumbs would be a little laborious. In this case, you build the description, you build the question, we throw a couple answers in. One thing I'll call out is that there's going to be a number of toggles here. One of them is allowing write-in answers. We just pushed write-in answers out maybe 2 releases ago. And so this is a new-ish feature, but we really don't want people to allow write-in for breakfast or lunch because we don't want to hear somebody say dinner or brunch. We really want to be able to get specifically whether they want breakfast or lunch. But there's a number of toggles here, and there's a number due date for the poll can be set. And then you can say, hey, I want to know when everyone's done. I want people to be able to update. And who do I want to send it to? I want to send it to our trusty board again. When I create the poll, this poll exists now, but it hasn't been sent to everyone. No one knows it exists. It's not ready for them to answer. So the last step of doing this is very simply saying publish, and then you can throw a message in here and say, hey, please fill this poll out so that we can get your answer on breakfast or lunch. And basically, this is the message that'll be sent to them. And then you click publish, and the poll is live. And that's all there is to it. So you can see a simple poll can be done in 30 seconds, maybe a minute, if you have fast thumbs, and it saves you all that time of having to wait until you go back to your desktop or back to your laptop to send this. Now this thing is live and people can answer it, and you can be prepared for your next meeting.
Awesome, Cody. That's great. I'm always choosing lunch. So I don't know if other people have a preference there, but I'm not coming early for breakfast. I'll stay late for lunch. But I think as admins and folks that are on nonprofit boards, sometimes these small things really do make a difference. So, if you're feeding people, they're usually happier and more engaged. So, right, it can be the small things. But those polls also could be, you can keep them anonymous, have write-ins, and like Cody said, make them a little deeper or a little bit more serious if you have kind of a more serious issue going on in your organization as well. So we're going to move to another poll, and I saw some chat that was interesting to me, just the idea that a reminder to all of us that, the nonprofit boards that we serve really run the gamut from really professional boards that have been established for decades and have lots of committees and have a lot of full-time staff to more of a startup nonprofit. So I think that might, indicate what some of the answers are here, but we're going to go ahead and jump into one of our favorite topics is what else could we do, right? So what else could the mobile app do to support your needs? I'll walk through these a little bit without too much context. These are all kind of early ideas, things that we've been thinking about, but really integrating discussions with SMS. So the idea that discussions in your text messages with the board could somehow integrate in a more easy way. Meeting and recording and transcription from the mobile app. A photo to PDF capture. This is especially useful if you're using a lot of whiteboards during meetings and those types of kind of offline tools and that new and kind of our new normal of a hybrid experience. Mobile e-signatures, and then extended meeting functionality. So this is really the idea that I'm in a meeting and I might want 2 screens. So I might want a screen that has the agenda and I might want a screen that has the deck or, some sort of variation of that. So we'd love to see what those votes come back as. I will also tell you, you can pick more than one on this one. So feel free, if there's a couple that seem really interesting to you, you can pick more than one selection on this one.
Yeah, Jenny, really quickly, I noticed there was the comment regarding boards that are smaller and don't have staff or they're starting up. And we really just totally recognize that. I think more separating by function so that it's really create and consume, right? It's, which capacity are you operating in at any given time? And we want to make sure that we're enabling both capacities, right? We don't want to forget about admins who could spin up polls or tasks or discussions really, really quickly if they just could from their mobile device, right? I mean, the thing about nonprofits especially is everyone's out doing a lot of other things, and giving them the opportunity to do great work in the interstitial spaces is important, right? You have time. Can you use some of that time to good purpose? And so that's a big piece of this as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for so many votes coming through. We kind of have 2 clear winners right now, mobile e-signatures and meeting recording and transcription from the mobile app. So both really highly functional features that probably a lot of utilization could come from. I do want to recenter ourselves on the agenda, kind of where we are, where we've been. Cody's walked us through the board member demo, the admin demo. We're going to jump into kind of a little bit of clarity about what's specifically new with this release that's coming up. We have our app submitted and ready to go. We're waiting on kind of approval from Google and Apple. So this app should be live soon. Cody, I'll let you to speak to this a little bit more and just kind of talk through what's new with this release.
Sure. So we, as Jenny showed on the timeline earlier, we continue to just pour time and effort into this, right? Like this isn't an afterthought for us anymore. This is a core part of our offering. And tasks and discussions and polls, we've already launched the ability to create these things within the app. So the ability to go in and build some of these. Things that we still need approval for would be things like attachments for those. But we're sort of in the middle, like once you build and release to them, if you build again, you have to get approval again. So all of this on our side's done. So it's in the can as far as we're concerned. We don't think there'll be any problems with getting it released. It's just probably a week to 2 weeks of approval time of just making sure we've dotted I's and crossed T's. But we feel pretty comfortable with this. This is a pattern we've been able to establish over the last year, and we think we'll get that through pretty seamlessly. So tasks and discussions and polls, what I just showed you, a lot of that's live, some minor functionality there. Minutes, looking at the meeting minutes through the mobile app, seems like a little bit of an oversight on our part, but really something we wanted to get in as soon as possible, because we know if you miss a meeting and you're using the app, it's just a nice thing, again, in the time that you have available, whether you're at the bus or waiting for your kids or at soccer practice or any of those things, being able to just pull it up and scroll through and say, okay, this is what happened in the last meeting. I'm up to speed. I didn't have to ask for it. No one had to email it to me. I'm not just going into the next conversation ignorant of what was talked about. So we really feel like that's important. The next area that I think is really important is Face ID. These are some modern conveniences. These are things we just feel like if we really want to drive adoption, if we want to make it as easy as possible for our customers and board members and volunteers, we really wanted to make Face ID a part of this release. So this is seamless. If you use almost any app these days will allow you to check a box and turn Face ID on. Well, we don't store the biometrics, right? The stored biometrics are all stored by Apple on your device. This is why you have to retrain your face every single time you get a new phone. And it uses our password plus the stored biometrics, and it just logs you in, right? If you're, if you've run into this over the last, probably 5 years, it's like magic. Once you do it, you forget you ever had to log in. And when you're wearing sunglasses and a hat, you're always a little annoyed that you have to type in your password. And then last but not least, push notifications. So all of this stuff that we talked about in the demo, really important, right? Building tasks, building polls, building discussions, having meetings, right? Being able to know that your meeting is coming up, that something's been published. Well, previously, we didn't have deep push notifications to let you know, hey, you've got a task. Hey, the meeting starts tomorrow. These are helpful things. And now we've added push notifications so that all of these different variations of items can actually come up as a push notification, which we all know, like my phone's sitting here in front of me. If I didn't set it to do not disturb, apps would be pushing notifications, reminding me to do something, reminding me that I have a calendar invite that I need to jump on a webinar in 1 minute. These are the things that we feel like they're modern conveniences, but they're critical if we want to make sure that the board members and volunteers and staff at nonprofits have a good experience with the application.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. I think we can go ahead and jump to the next slide. We're kind of in the wrap-up period of the webinar. So we have several reminders. We have some resources for you as well. Just a reminder, you still can be typing in your questions. Really, I don't want to say I should say, I was going to say I don't want to say, but really any question is fair game, right? So we're really talking about the mobile app right now, but I'm sure this has triggered some ideas and questions that may extend over to the web and may extend over to board management at large. Feel free to drop those over in the questions tab. But I did, all of this is amazing. Cody's done a great job walking us through the demo. It's a little all for naught if we don't have our members downloading the app and leveraging the app. So we're here to help you make that happen. My colleague Lavon has helped me create some text message templates and email templates that will help you drive downloads amongst your members. And so she'll be sending those out as a follow-up to this webinar. So they're simple copy and paste. You can, send a text message to your board, which is great because it's right there on their mobile phone, or you can send an email to them as well. And that'll just make it easy. We'll also be putting in-product reminders when the release goes live, so that everybody knows where to download the mobile app and that everything's live and they can, go experience that for themselves. So I'm really trying to support you in getting your members to adopt the app as well. Once again, with that end goal of, driving board engagement and really enabling you all to do more for your mission. If you want to jump to the next slide, Cody.
Hey, Jenny, yeah. One thing on this one, I really quickly scrolled through some questions, you guys, so I definitely couldn't read them all, but I saw two that stood out that were related to this slide in particular, which is around the recordings that we just went through, and whether we could share those to help with board member and training and adoption. I think one other thing that we'll consider on our side, and I think it's a pretty easy lift, would be maybe in addition to these templates, why don't we go ahead and we'll record a sort of bespoke member one where we'll go through fairly slowly and walk through section by section and give instructions, if that's helpful to the folks on the call. I think it would be great. I think these videos would be great. It's helpful in context when we're just talking over them. But I think we could do a video with some narration that could help you guys get your board members on board with it. I mean, the mobile app is a much simpler interface in a lot of ways. It really takes out a lot of the intimidation factor of like looking at the application. So we're happy to do that as well. So if that's something you guys be interested in, let us know in the chat and we can add it to the list in addition to the templates we can get you.
That's great. I'm happy to do that. Anything that really helps you guys get your board members using the app and getting us more feedback, we want to do that. So what's next? We've kind of been fast and furious on the product team and as an organization, releasing a lot of new things. We are in April going to do a specific webinar, really unlocking board potential, practical tips for encouraging boardable adoption. So this one will have obviously some product components, but will be a little bit bigger picture and just really overall talking about strategies and techniques that some of our customers have used that have been successful here. We'll jump back in May to a summer product innovation webinar. We're going to be talking a lot about boardable video conferencing and the enhancements around that, as well as our pre and post meeting experience upgrades. So some really exciting things in that summer release as well. So we'll be getting out all of that information to you, the April 24th webinar, and all of that as part of the follow-ups to this. If you want to go to the next slide, Cody, and then we can jump into a handful of questions live if we have the chance. But reminders and product feedback, we are very open to your feedback. A lot of our roadmap does get driven by customer feedback. So please do email us at productfeedback@boardable.com. We look at all of these, we index them. David looks through all of them, creates stories, so they don't just go in a black hole. And then if you're willing to specifically help us test new ideas, we do have, I would say, a pretty informal innovation panel that we're still filling up with some great customers. So if that's something that appeals to you and you really want to be a little bit closer to the product team, you can email my colleague Maza at maza@boardable.com. Her email address is right here. If you have questions specific to your account, please email your customer success manager, or you can always contact support as well. So wanted to give you kind of a rundown of all the places that you can go or all the places that we'd love for you to go. But again, your customer success manager and support are always there to help as well. So I'm going to jump over to the questions in chat. I don't know, Cody, if you've had a chance to pick any out that you want to tackle, or?
Yeah, so a couple things. I answered one directly, but there's probably two things I didn't touch on that we did release or that we are going to release. One is profile and user settings. So we did give the option, the ability to update those in app. So that's already actually released. So there you'll be able to, you should be able to do, I didn't just give myself a thumbs up, but you should be able to do that today. And then the other one was, sorry, let me scroll up. multi-day meetings. This one got answered in the chat as well, but we're also we're pushing, it's actually in the review candidate, the ability to review all the agendas for a multi-day meeting, not just the first. So those are two things. We tried for brevity's sake not to talk about every single individual item, but those are two that are part of what we've been working on. And I think it speaks to the layers, right? We're not just hitting a few high notes. We're trying to continuously look at all of the feedback, and basically everything that's on our list of release candidates or things that we've already pushed out are feedback from you guys. So it's feedback from customers or from prospects who said, hey, this would be really helpful for our use case. And it turns out that a lot of those things have utility for all nonprofits. So we try and look for those. So those were two that stood out. Anything else? Oops.
I saw a little bit more feedback on definitely wanting a step-by-step training video for board members. Again, we're happy to do that, and we'll make that come to life. So great idea, great suggestion. There were a couple questions about push notifications. We'll make sure that's clear of what triggers a push notification. There are a handful of specific activities that do, a new meeting invite is an obvious one, new task, new discussion, a meeting cancellation, but we'll make sure that that's super clear, and there will be a support and help article for that as well.
I see a question on printing documents. Printing and saving documents, excuse me, comes up quite a bit for mobile specifically. And I think this speaks to the ubiquity of mobile devices and how I think I saw someone when I was speaking earlier, I saw a comment come through that was like, my mobile is my laptop, basically, like I use this thing for everything, which is really, really common. Printing and saving, while it seems like a less common use case, if you're using your mobile for everything, at some point you have to be able to do those things. So it's on our list. It's on the roadmap. We don't have it scheduled as of yet, but it's a piece of feedback that we've heard and recognize that it's important. I think there's another thing we should talk about, which is app updates. So generally, your app is going to update to the latest version if you're getting it from like the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store. But it doesn't ever hurt to go and check. If you think you might be out of date, go ahead and go back to the store and update it manually. But for the most part, anyone who's using the app, it should automatically push if you've got your settings set that way, which most people will. Most of our apps are staying up to date just in the background all the time.
Awesome. Well, there are a good number of questions. Our colleagues, David and Levant, have done such a good job tackling them that I think most of them have been answered live, or at least a nod that we'll take this offline and follow up with you. I don't have anything else. Cody, do you have anything else to share?
I don't think so. I mean, we really appreciate you guys coming to these. I mean,
yeah.
It's we put a lot of time and effort into them. We think about it a lot. We feel like it's a great way to sort of tell everyone about the work that's going on behind the scenes and inform you guys about features and products. But it also is a great way for us to hear from you. Like, for example, like the step-by-step training video. That's great feedback for us. Really helpful, really important. We want to, drive as much utilization as possible. We want people using Boardable. And so that's super helpful. We really appreciate all of the feedback and the participation, and we look forward to these. We really enjoy them.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And feel free to contact us with any questions. And thanks for continuing to champion Boardable and continue to do all the great work that I know all of you do. Thanks so much.